Hi, my name is Ben Golub, CEO of Storj. Welcome to the Q2 2023 Storj Town Hall. I'm joined today by John Gleason, who is our Chief Operating Officer. Very excited to have you here. Believe it or not, this is the 20th consecutive Storj Town Hall. 5 years ago, we embarked on a journey to do something that had never been done before, to build an enterprise-grade, globally distributed, decentralized storage cloud. And through the efforts of a large and dedicated community and team, we're really starting to see that that journey was worth it. Hopefully, this town hall will give evidence of the exciting momentum that we're seeing and why we're so thankful to all the members of our community for the hard work that they've done to get us here. The Storj Town Hall is an important part of our ongoing commitment to transparency. We as a company and as a community and a globally distributed network really depend on transparency, and it's key to everything that we do. So we maintain open code, open development, open data, and hopefully an open dialogue. While most of the information in this town hall can be gleaned from other sources, some of which are below, this is a great opportunity for us, at least on a quarterly basis, to connect with our customers and our partners, our node operators, our open source contributors, and more. So before we begin, unfortunately, I have to read a forward-looking statement. This is my 20th time reading this, but nonetheless, this document contains forward-looking statements about our product, network, and business. The development, release, and timing of any features or functionality described for our products remains at the sole discretion of Storj Labs. The information herein is not a commitment to deliver any material code or functionality or make promises about anything related to our business and should not be relied upon in making purchase or other decisions. All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's talk about our agenda for today. We're going to start with an executive summary, talk a bit about growth and customer momentum. We'll do a quick update on where our product and roadmap are going. And finally, John will be talking about things important to our node and community members. But before we get into what we've been up to and how we've been doing, really, I think it's always useful to talk about why we're doing this. And again, Storj went on a radically different approach in how we decided to approach the issue of storage. As you may know, the world continues to create more and more data. Over 140 zettabytes were created this year, and to put that number into perspective, I'm sure you all remember what CD-ROMs are. They're about 1.3 millimeters thick and could store most of the text content of the Library of Congress or the Library of Alexandria. If you were to take all the world that the world created, all the data that the world created this year and store it on CD-ROMs, you'd have a stack that stretched to the orbit of Mars and back. And data is expected to grow 23% year on year for the next several years. And in this era of concern about climate change, it's also worth noting that data is expected to account for about 14% of world carbon output in the future. That's actually more than agriculture. So clearly finding a way that you can deliver data storage that is fast, that is secure, that is economical, and that is green is very important. And we structured storage in a very different way. We decided, let's build a storage network that could take advantage of the 70% of global hard drive space that's currently underutilized. If you can believe it, most drives in the world are less than 30% full, and we can fill them up without having to create new drives, without having to build new data centers, without even having to expend a lot more on electricity, which means it's a very economical way to deliver storage. But in doing it the way we are, we also managed to do things the way that is much safer. It is much more difficult to hack into the system. It is also far more durable. We're able to deliver storage profitably at 1/5 to 1/10 the cost of AWS, up to 2 to 3 times faster, and more globally consistent in terms of performance, 1/10 of the carbon footprint, and do so in a way that is, again, more reliable, more secure, and much better suited for the edge today. And we're really the only enterprise-grade centralized storage provider out there. Many of the others in our industry are providing great solutions for archival storage or great solutions that are specialized for Web3 use cases. We wanted to build an enterprise use case that could really bridge Web 2 and Web 3. So a quick summary of how Q2 went. At a high level, Q2 was another great quarter. Of course, the world has been through a lot, and all of us in the past few months have had to deal with things like pandemics and political uncertainty and interest rates, inflation, FTX, SVB, a bunch of other 3-letter acronyms, probably some 4-letter words that we all said, but we kept growing as a company because fundamentally, the need for fast, secure storage that's scalable and at the edge continues to grow at an astronomical pace, both in traditional markets and in new markets. And Storj saw continued momentum in really both of those markets. In traditional markets, we're seeing great traction in areas such as video distribution, video production, the management of scientific data, log data, and more. And in newer markets, we're seeing traction not only in Web3, but in areas such as blockchain fast sync. We're also very excited to see Storj become an emerging solution as the underlying storage layer for a vast number of AI and ML related use cases. Ultimately, this was a great quarter. We saw great momentum, great user growth, great performance in great improvements in performance. We signed the 2 largest customers in our company history, and we produced our sustainability report, which I'll be talking about in a bit. And frankly, Q3 is going to be more of the same. Continued growth, hopefully continued great presence at some of international conferences as well. And honestly, making sure that we can serve customers well. And at this point, we've got interest and engagement in pilots with some of the top tech, financial, media, and healthcare companies in the world. So let's dive a little bit into the numbers. As I mentioned, we signed the 2 biggest customers in company history. We also saw continued growth in usage and in revenue generally. We are starting to see the benefits of having great go-to-market partners in both traditional and new markets. And ultimately, what we're starting to see is better product performance driving better growth. So in this past quarter, we saw paid data grow 23% quarter on quarter, which is an important metric for us to track. And as paid data grows on our network, we're gradually bringing down the test data that we introduced to the network when we were starting to grow it. Another important metric that we track is average monthly net expansion. And that basically measures how much data customers who were with us in a previous month or revenue customers that were with us in a previous month are generating for us this month, taking into account those who grow, those who shrink, and the almost non-existent number who actually leave our network. What we're seeing is that we're growing between 10 and 15% a month, 15% on average since the beginning of the year. Just to put that number in perspective, world-class net expansion is considered to be 1.2% annually. 1.2 annually. We're already at 1.10 to 1.15 per month, which if you do an exponential to 12 gives you a sense of really how fast we're growing, more than doubling every year from our existing customers. And as important as those growth numbers are, we're even more excited about our enterprise grade numbers. As I mentioned, we've seen great things with performance. Durability is incredibly important to us. We've lost no files since going into alpha almost 4 years ago. And our core availability was 100% in Q2, which meant that we had absolutely no downtime, in addition to always having files be available. But you don't have to take our word for it. We make our data available publicly, and it can be seen at stats.storjshare.io. We've now put in place a really powerful ecosystem of tech and go-to-market partners. And this is a big part of how we feel that we're going to be going to market. Ultimately, customers are not looking to buy storage, they're looking to buy solutions. They're looking to buy video solutions, and we partner with some of the best in the video space like Adobe. They're looking for backup solutions, and we work with the best in the industry, such as Acronis. For people who are interested in storing logs, we work with Splunk. People who are looking for general purpose and specialized infrastructure, we have great partners like Hammerspace, IX Systems, and Equinix. And then on the Web3 side, we're continuing to build a great ecosystem of people like Ankur and Akash, who are doing distributed computing, LivePeer for distributed transcoding, Matter Labs, a great partner for doing work with zero knowledge off the chain. Really excited to be working with such a great group of partners. And ultimately, that's how you build a great company, is by having a great ecosystem around you. Interestingly, in this, as I mentioned, in the past quarter, we also saw some tremendous progress in storage in the AI space. And of course, everybody talks about AI. But fundamentally, as many people are learning, for AI to work, you have to be able to get large files around the world, and in particular in ways which often have unpredictable patterns. But for AI to work, large language models need to be distributed, modified, and built up again, generally speaking, by GPUs, which are all around the world. Storage, by its nature, is great for unpredictable access patterns, great for globally distributed access patterns. And of course, we have a strong commitment to open source, and that's really where a lot of the momentum is happening these days in AI. So we're excited to be in the middle of this rapidly expanding and changing field, and really excited to be working with great solutions and partners like Replit, Hugging Face, Stability, and we're even hosting the Llama dataset from Meta. This quarter was also a great milestone for us in that we released our detailed analysis on our environmental and carbon savings. And essentially the story here is that everything that we do to make a great economical service also makes us a great green service. Most of storage is provided by people who are renting out underutilized assets. So these are drives that are in data centers or in homes that are already built, already stored, already spinning, already powered, already cooled. And what we like to say is that the greenest data center is one that never has to be built. The greenest drive is a drive that's already been powered, and we're simply using up additional capacity. It takes almost no additional electricity, generates almost no additional carbon to run a drive at 80% full versus 30% full. And what we have seen in this white paper, which has been reviewed by academics, is that storage today saves between 60 to 90% of the carbon footprint from storage. And actually, as our network grows and as we continue to see more and more underutilized assets, we expect that number to improve even further. And we're really glad to see that what we're doing has attracted the attention of people such as Chris Mellor, Storj newsletter. And that's not only great for us to have more awareness of what Storj is doing, but also we feel it's very important to draw more attention to the issue of data storage. As I mentioned, it's projected to account for 14% of global carbon in a few years, which is even more than agriculture. So an important area for us all to think about, especially as we've seen such dramatic changes in global climate, even in this past year. From a product perspective, this was also a great quarter. Again, you don't have to take my word for it. We maintain a public roadmap. We would love to have anyone who's on this call or in the community participate. The roadmap is public, the code is public, the issues list is public. What we deliver, and when we miss delivery, that's all public. Of course, we'd love to have you keep us honest. We also would love contributions, bug fixes, bug reports. This is how we keep ourselves open and transparent as a company. And while there are a lot of details, of course, one of the biggest areas that we've been focusing on since the beginning of the year is addressing issues of performance. This is one of the charts that really makes me proudest and makes most of us at Storj proudest. This is measuring what it takes, the amount of time it takes to download a 1 gigabyte file. And we hosted a 1 gigabyte file in Storj. We also hosted a 1 gigabyte file in Amazon. And we said, okay, how long will it take to download that from close to that data center, as well as from locations really around the world, New York, Chicago, London, Singapore, Bangalore. And we graphed that out. And of course, on this graph, the lower you are, the better, because that means it takes less time to download the file. The Storj results are in blue. The Amazon results are in red. And what you'll see is that close to the West Coast data centers, we're neck and neck. But as you get farther away from the West Coast data center, things take longer and longer and longer with Amazon, and our performance stays consistent. And as you can see, it's anywhere from 2 to 3 to even 4 times faster and globally consistent. And that's a really great thing for our customers. We're starting to get fantastic feedback from customers and prospects, emphasizing the importance of being able to have good globally consistent performance. And by the way, globally consistent performance that's fast without having to create multiple copies around the world, because the data is already around the world. And when we initially did this, we did it with a video file. Of course, in this day of AI, we also thought it was important to replicate the experiment with AI data sets as well. This is the Lion data set, which we hosted. You can see on this map the actual locations where the encrypted, ratio-coded pieces were located. There were 1,760 pieces in this 1.4 gigabyte file. And again, if you look at the performance, Storj is consistent, fast, and compares well really across the board, even when comparing to the ultra-fast, extra expensive solutions from the large hyperscalers. So with that, again, another great quarter. Thank you all for all of your work to help that happen. We're very excited to be in a position right now where we're helping to provide a bridge for Web 2 customers, to provide S3 compatible enterprise grade storage that is faster, more secure, and more durable than the hyperscalers at 1/5 to 1/10 the cost. And for our Web 3 customers, a viable Web 3 native, S3 compatible, decentralized alternative to the expensive cloud providers. And With that, I'd like to turn things over to John Gleason to talk a little bit about what's happening in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. And I'd like to provide a quick update for the community on where we've been and where we're going from a storage supply side. So just a quick update on community engagement. Storj team members were very active in the past quarter here, both Web 2 and Web 3 events. If you're in the area for any of the events that you see that we're going to be at, please come to join the event, join the Storj team. If you're not going to be at the event, but you're in the area, reach out to us on Twitter or LinkedIn, and we can connect with you outside the events. We saw a lot of great customer and partner engagement at NAB, at DWeb Camp, at ISC West, and a lot more events in the past quarter. These events tend to be a great place for us to spread the word about Storj and find new customers and new partners. We continue to welcome a lot of new customers, particularly out of NAB. And we saw some really great engagement, especially at DWeb Camp, and ISC West is always a great event for us. Upcoming events that we're doing later this year include Masari Mainnet in New York, Spice World, IBC, and the Storj Developer Conference. To find out where we'll be next, watch for announcements on the website, X, and LinkedIn, and be sure to join us if you can. Just a quick update to our Storj economic incentives. Again, we have been managing a project on an ongoing basis with the goal of refining our economic incentive model to reflect current and future network growth and evolution, moving from a situation where we were bootstrapping the network in anticipation of growth to now managing the network with actual real customer growth, and also making sure that the economics work for both the Storj-owned operators and for the satellite operators. So our goals, again, are to ensure that long-term sustainability for node operators, to make sure that the unit economics are scalable for Storj, and to always try and have a healthy equilibrium between supply and demand on the network, so there's always enough space for people to consume, but Storj-owned operators aren't sharing a ton of space for which they're not being compensated. All of these objectives taken together will make sure that the Storj network stays around for as long as possible and provides great storage and a great way to have an alternative, disruptive format and change the future of cloud storage. In terms of specifics for what we've been doing with the economic updates, we've introduced gradual changes over the last few months, starting with some of the test satellites and interacting with the community as much as possible to try and get feedback as we made these small steps along the way. We want to make sure that as we make these changes, we don't create situations where Storj-owned operators feel it's no longer viable for them to participate in the network. And so we've been maintaining payout rates for storage and reducing only payout rates for egress as our initial steps, as well as audit and repair traffic. The process has been iterative and it will continue to be so, taking small steps as we move along. The next major change that we'll see is for the July rates that will be reflected in the August payouts, and that's a significant change to egress payouts. But again, overall, with the growth of the network from customers, we anticipate that overall the utilization of the network will continue to grow at a very steady rate. If customer growth in data is not sufficient to maintain the equilibrium, we will provide additional synthetic load, and that'll be introduced via the Salt Lake satellite. Even though we have removed some of the smaller test satellites that we've run in a variety of places, we'll concentrate on the single satellite for the synthetic load. And we have almost at the end of shutting down the EU North 1 and US 2 satellites as part of that process. In terms of how to get involved and stay involved with the community, we continue to want feedback, particularly on the changes to the economic structure, but also references for business development and partnerships that might be meaningful that the community can make. So please, if you want to find out more about the changes that we're doing, join us on the Twitter/X Spaces and join at J Willoughby and at JG Gleason for regular updates and conversations. We'll also be providing questions and answers during those Twitter Spaces. We would love to get more nodes stood up in underserved locations like India and South America and Australia, as we have new customers that are coming online in those locations. So if you have capacity there, please feel free to join the network and add it, and also spread the word. Storj DCS is reliable, secure, private, and performant cloud object storage, and we continue to be greater than 80% lower cost than Amazon S3, and we're seeing a lot more customers adopting this, particularly in an economic climate where people are really looking to save costs and reduce spend. So again, thank you for joining us for the town hall. Thank you for your participation in the community, and especially thank you to our storage node operators who make the network possible. We'll talk to you again next time. Thank you.